Hey, so how is generative AI impacting you? We know that narrow AI is invasive in many areas of our life, and generative AI is now come to fruition, things like ChatGPT, etc. Hey, I'm John Harris, and this is another episode of Exponential Radio. And today we're talking about generative AI and how it's impacting us, and a little bit of some of the issues that we face surrounding it. First of all, we're going to talk about some of the bias and whether there's some unfairness, did we say, or how to make it more fair with some of the algorithms, AI algorithms that are now found in some of these generative AI. We know that ChatGPT has had its issues where it's tried to control some of the information and make sure it's not too perhaps radical, but in doing that, as soon as they put those filters on there, it doesn't perform as well. So this is not an easy thing to do. That data can easily get skewed depending on the algorithm that it's working off. And this is because, it's still very reliant on the initial type programming. So when those patterns, it's learning through data, historical data, and through pattern recognition, and if you have specific patterns in there and you omit others, that's when the problems start kicking in. So it is being manipulated, and of course this has serious consequences. It also then has these biases built in, and they say that is due to the people who are initially doing the programming having a specific worldview. So they're trying to change that, but as I say, as soon as they've started these things and they put filters on them, there's a problem. So your base AI, your basic algorithm that you're starting to work from is very important. We see this with Elon and his XAI, which is understand the universe, a very, very profound and massive transformative purpose, and something that's a key thing perhaps to start with as a base algorithm to walk towards. So obviously as these things go along, they get amplified. The more that the algorithms go through this pattern evolution, the more they get amplified. Next thing is really AI and jobs. So, we're talking about universal income down the road, but it's going to be a problem because we need more than our financial needs seen to. That is a big issue, and it'll be very important, but what are people going to do with their time? This is going to be an even bigger issue. They're saying it's only a matter of years that 50% of our jobs will be taken by AI, and after that, I would assume more. The thing is, they are saying now in this period that AI is doing some of the tasks fairly well, it's improving on that, but it's not doing the whole job. So it's working in pairs, in partnership with human employees, and that at the moment is where there is obviously some opportunity. I think employees are going to have to move more to becoming professionals and entrepreneurs as time goes by, and they will have to be looking at their own platforms and working as professionals for implementation, as I've mentioned before, and for maintenance for this interim period until we hit general AI, that is. Next thing I want to talk about is can it overcome its limitations? This is something that we've got to think about with AI in terms of machine learning, what I call a rapid evolution through machine learning or pattern recognition, and how good that is in comparison to human beings. So we need to understand those things for the time being, that there is obviously a huge advantage. The human mind is way ahead at the moment. The next thing we're going to think about is when we get into general AI and we can't really distinguish between human and artificial intelligence, that starts to where things will really start to get shady. And then shortly thereafter, suspecting that we get towards super AI. As I mentioned, some people said this would never happen, but the sheer amount of money that's been thrown at this worldwide is truly staggering. So these things are going to transpire, and it's a race to the first person, the first mover, to obtain some of these potentials with general and super AI. The next thing I wanted to talk about is geopolitical impacts of AI. So this is really where it's at. It's an arms race. Make no mistake. There's an absolute arms race going on with AI. And that tech race is looking for global dominance. I've spoken about this before, where we look at governments for control, military for weaponization, and finance for profitability, etc. So there's big implications in the military, political area. And another problem is fake social, fake identities, and fake pictures and fake, being created by AI. So this is a really big issue, especially on the geopolitical front. Next, responsibility and responsible AI. So we have many places around the world with different cultures, different worldviews, and it makes it very difficult for one person to say this is now responsible when it isn't to another culture. That governance and the regulatory environment, the ethics, the principles they're going to have to develop around that are complex, very complex. And we've seen as soon as it becomes a global issue, people tend to pull back to their roots, and it makes it even more complicated. So that accountability, once they start to roll these, which they have been doing, they are starting to roll out these ideas or legislation. The real problem is going to come in how we're going to monitor this, as I say, on a global scale, which will be a big deal. AI and diversity and inclusion. We've seen this with the politics of the moment, a lot to do with inclusivity and diversity. And you're going to look in AI, you need to have diverse teams, they're saying now, in order to get a better and more broad worldview. The other thing is that AI is currently only has abstract reasoning, or does not, should I say, actually have abstract reasoning. So once it gets to abstract reasoning, some of these things will be cleared up. Original algorithms, again, as I mentioned, these are where some of the issues start, and these reflect specific worldviews. So when we talk about diversity, we're going to have to try and start to circumvent that through having diverse teams that develop these software algorithms. AI and its uses, some people are saying certain things should be banned. One of them people are worried about is facial recognition. That they'll be able to stop this, I doubt, because governments are using it around the world. I believe the program, one of them is called Pegasus, I may stand to correction. China, of course, is using it full on with a credit score, citizen credit score, linked to, we've spoken about digital government, digital currency, etc. So there's a big issue, privacy. The dark web is another scary place. And obviously, criminality with AI and things that happen there are going to be exacerbated. Those criminal enterprises are also looking to develop AI at a nominal level. So, when it comes to obviously trying to scam people and so on and so forth, it's going to become very difficult. They are developing the same time software to try and suss out these criminal elements, but it's going to be hard. Lastly, just as a recap, there's new content is based on data and patterns. It's gone from narrow to broad, music, coding, drug discovery, disease diagnosis, education, and being very personalized. But as usual, there's a little bit of information for you, and hopefully it's useful, and we will see you in the next episode.